self-care is not selfish. It's actually the biggest part of showing love that you could offer to your family, your friends, and your community.
As women, we nurture and take care of the world. And so it's just so important to make your health, your self-care numero uno. So
get around people who are going where you want to go and who are where you want to be. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be in real estate, so I got around people who were doing things in real estate that I wanted to do.
So you might not be able to move things around or change what happened to you, but if you can change the way that you see it and how you're reacting to it, there's a way.
You just do what you have to do. There's no excuse. This morning, I knew that if I didn't get up at 4 in the morning and clear out my emails and do everything that I needed to do.
You don't want the government to dictate or a judge to dictate how your hard-earned sacrifice and wealth gets distributed to your family and your loved ones.
Our culture is embedded in American culture. There are people who come to America and engage in American culture, which is Black culture. So Juneteenth is really about Black culture, and it's about celebrating us, celebrating the different diasporas of Black people, even the dialects.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday. And what does that mean? That means that it is Juneteenth, New York City's Lunch and Learn Thursday. And I am Athenia Rodney, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC, and I'm excited to have you. I hope you get that. But we are coming up on the holidays. And I'm ready. I'm ready for this year to be over. This year has been a challenging year overall. There's been a lot of loss. There's been a lot of gain. There's been a lot. But this year, I am excited and thankful for where we are. Because guess what? I'm still alive. I'm still here to live another day and to make a difference in somebody's life. And we hope that with our conversation today, that we'll be able to do that. We have a very special guest, like every week, right? We have some really dope individuals. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about cancer and health awareness. We talked about fibroids. We had some survivors come on and share their stories. We continue to bring you some really amazing conversations. We've talked about finance. And next month, we're going to be going into conversations about Ghana because... drum roll. We going to Ghana, y'all. So we definitely hope that you will join us on our trip to Ghana for 2026, 2027. So that'll be next December. But we starting to take people's interest. It is just a small amount of $199 to participate. And to get your name on the list. We are only taking 50 people and we are ready. We just opened it on Wednesday and we are already at 45 people. So spaces are absolutely going fast, but we, again, are excited that we get to go. And it's not just going to be a regular trip. We are going to do some networking. We're going to have some business conferences that are going to be happening there. We're going to do some community work. And we're going to be talking about how we can purchase land. So all of December, we're going to be having conversations with different individuals from the motherland, directly from Ghana, and just talking about preparing. What does that look like and being in that space? So without any further ado, I'm going to jump right in and introduce our speaker for today. Today, we are going to be talking about I don't know where we're gonna go. It could go deep. It could go. So we're gonna see. We're gonna let the spirit flow and let it take us where it takes us. But this person who we will be interviewing on today, she is a near and dear friend. I've known her quite a while. Let's say I would probably say maybe about 15 plus years or so. And she has been around since the beginning of our Juneteenth days inception, when we were doing a lot of things. And now, even at the beginning of her business and just seeing it grow. So I'm glad to be able to talk with her and to see where her business is right now. So today we will be meeting with Rosalyn Mcintosh. She is a trauma-informed coach, mentor, and founder of her beautiful, amazing business, Sisters Building Sisters in Brooklyn, a nonprofit dedicated to helping women and girls heal from trauma, rejection, and anxiety. And I just remembered, something that just came to mind. We wrote a book together. I don't know how I could even forget that. I was like, wait, so we even have a book that we curated together. So there's, when you do so much, your hands are in so many things, you forget a lot of the things that we do. So I was grateful for being brought into the trilogy that Rosalyn had led, and being able to share my story and talk about some of my past traumas. So she does a great job with that. Rosalyn's also the community and outreach pastor of Greater Dimensions Christian Assemblies of New York. That was a mouthful, but where her ministry extends far beyond the walls of the church. And like most people, if you are in the community, if you are about your community, then it's not just about what's happening inside the church, but it's about bringing that ministry into the streets, because that's really where it is. Inside the church is about cultivating. Outside the church is about bringing and winning souls. So she does that. She's in the streets. She's in shelters and into the hearts of those searching for hope, which a lot of us are still doing. Look, I'm still in that space. And even though I'm saved and sanctified, but we all need someone to kind of reel us back sometimes. And I'm glad that we have a person like Rosalyn to be able to do that. So her work provides food for the less fortunate, school supplies for children, and most importantly, spiritual nourishment for the soul. So I'm going to bring Rosalyn to the stage and welcome Ms. Rosalyn, because she has some other businesses, some coaching practices and things like that, that I would love for you to be able to share a little bit more about. But welcome, Rosalyn. How are you doing, sis? Uh-oh, you on mute.
Hi, let's do that again. Hi, it's so great to see you.
Hi, hey. So thank you again for agreeing to join us. We were talking, one of our board members was like, oh yeah, we were talking about, we wanted to do domestic violence. We wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I was like, I have the perfect person. And so I was like, oh, I was like, oh, we haven't spoken in a while, so I'll be glad to have you on. So I'm glad that you said yes to the call, and welcome to our space, to our lovely home on our abode. But to get us started, I guess share a little bit about, I would like to hear what is going on with Sisters Building Sisters in Brooklyn. So talk to us about what you have going on in space and what made you start the business.
Okay. So hi, I'm Rosalyn Mcintosh. I'm the founder of Sisters Building Sisters in Brooklyn in New York City. And what are we doing now? So we just finished I believe it's our 9th walk, but I have to double check. We just finished on October the 18th, our walk to stop domestic violence, where we walk around a 20-block radius or 25-block radius, just really informing the community and letting them know that what domestic violence is, and what it looks like, what it may feel like to some people, just the whole experience of it, and how to get help and how to get support, and know that help and support is out there in so many different ways. And at the end of the walk, we do a program, we have a presentation, and we also have like a huge support team. We have the mayor's office, we have Sanctuary for Family, just all these different agencies and nonprofits that really help with helping victims of domestic violence, helping survivors of abuse thrive, just helping families. That's what we do in the vein of domestic violence. That's what we did. And now coming this Saturday, Sisters Building Sisters, along with my consulting company, which is RCM Global, will be doing a wraparound workshop with us with a skit, one of our domestic violence skits that we put together. A whole team of us. Sometimes it's a team of survivor leaders from the mayor's office, or that I'm in collaboration with, or it's Sisters Building Sisters members, or it's just people that want to give back in that way. So that's coming on November the 15th. If you're in Brooklyn, if you're not in Brooklyn, please share the flyer, tell a family member, tell a neighbor, have them come out and see what we're about, and also learn about domestic violence.
Now, there are a lot of mystifications around domestic violence, right? What it is and what it isn't. Can you share what some of those things, like when you think of domestic violence, I think of verbal abuse. I think of, well, mostly first and foremost, I think of physical abuse, not so much verbal, but I've learned and experienced verbal is a very big part of it as well, where there's isolation that's being created and making people feel like they're the only person, like nobody's going to help you. Like, what do you have in place as an organization to kind of help individuals who are going through, especially that isolation version of abuse?
Well, our organization does two things. Even though we are technically closed, where we're not really out doing all the things we're known to do, as far as the workshops and things of that nature. We're on a sabbatical, I should say, but our organization is always open. I get so many calls, especially throughout the pandemic. It was amazing to see. It was such a sad case, but I was always getting calls where people were like, hey, somebody's going through, a victim I know, whether she has children or if she doesn't have children, she needs a safe place and she's ready. So what our organization does, and I'm actually the person that handles that part, I'm the liaison for that part. If a woman is ready to go, without a shadow of a doubt, she wants to leave that place, then she calls Sisters Building Sisters, and I will help her through the network of support, whether it's through supportive housing, whether it's getting connected with the survivor support group, whatever it is. But mainly when she calls me, she's ready to go, and then she's going to go through PATH or whatever it is. I'll execute that for her to get in a safe place and to get away from the person that's causing her harm. That could be her lover, that could be her husband, that could be her friend. But at the end of the day, it's the person that's causing her harm. So yes.
So can you let's backtrack a little bit. Can you share with us what made you start this organization? Like, was there a passion behind it? What spurred the interest?
Okay, and then we'll go back to what verbal abuse. I'll say that right now. Verbal abuse is what it's the sparks to it. It's the first initial signs of you're in something unhealthy. You're in an unhealthy relationship, because if someone's talking to you and on a negative note, calling you out of your name, or just talking down to you or belittling you in some form or fashion, that is abuse. No one deserves that. And that's where it starts. That's a part of where it starts. It has to do with, I don't want you to look a certain way. Your hair is up, but I like it down. It's about power and control. It's about power and control, and it stems from seeing the nonverbal and verbal signs. Now, how did it start for me? Originally, well, I grew up in a home, in an environment, because let me correct that, because the only two people that I did not see abuse from in the home that I was brought up in was my grandparents. And those were the two people that raised me. Outside of that, all the uncles, aunts, and everybody, they were drinking, drugging, and they were beating the mess out of each other, causing harm. Like to slap somebody in the face or punch somebody in the face or kick them down the steps. It was nothing. So it was like my normal. It was, you know, not just me, my siblings and I, because I'm the seventh child. So it was our normal. So I really didn't know like what domestic violence was. I didn't know it was a thing because it was our normal growing up. But I remember my siblings, mainly my sisters, being abused in the home. And I was a very little girl because my grandfather died when I was 10 years old, and he was my protector. He was my dad. And that's when my world flipped from sunshiny days to just like a world of darkness. I went from being an A student in school. I had just got accepted in the performing arts school in the gifted program, where I was to go on Mondays and Wednesdays. I went one day and I did some little drama dance and some African dancing, and I went to to paint. And I remember them saying, "Oh, you know, this is a canvas and this is oil paint and all of this." And I went one time, and when I came home, my grandfather had passed, and then that's when everything changed. I remember my sister met me at the corner of the block, and this may be too deep. Is this too deep?
No, bring it on. Come on.
Okay, so I remember I was 10 years old and I was happy and excited. I was like, I'm gonna tell everybody how my day went. And my sister, the one that is 5 years older than me, which is my baby sister, even though I'm the baby, she ran to me, and I remember her saying, when you get in the house, be quiet and don't say nothing. Just shut up. Just be quiet. So I was like, okay, all right. And when I got in the house, you know, I thought she was just being my big sister, bullying me or whatever, bossing me around, not bullying me, bossing me around. And when I got in the house, I said, well, I'm going to listen to what she said. So I said, okay, I went and I put my book bag down, I washed my hands, and I went to the refrigerator. And lo and behold, when I went to open the refrigerator, because we had two refrigerators because it was, 7 children in the house, the refrigerators were padlocked. I was like, what? And I went like to pull the door, and the refrigerators, both refrigerators, the large refrigerator and the small refrigerator, were padlocked. So I knew automatically, even though I was 10 years old, I was like, okay, my life just changed. So I got the hint of what my sister, was trying to tell me. So I went in the living room. It was a few family members sitting in the living room, and it was my sister and my brother. One of my sisters and one of my brothers. And the next thing you know, someone in my family, a male in my family, just came in the house. And it just threw me because I loved this person. They loved me. They just came out. Now I'm 10 years old and I had a ponytail a little smaller than this. And I remember sitting in this little wooden chair, and it was a couch over here, a blue and white couch, love seat. And I just remember him coming and taking me by my ponytail and ramming his hands in my hair and throwing me to the ends of the couch.
Oh
and
my
saying,
God.
I hate you like I hate your blanket sister. And 10 years old,
Hi.
that was crazy.
I'm sure that was extremely traumatic.
Mm-hmm. So I just said, I think that's when I lost my voice. Not the speech, like where Like that's where I lost my voice with the power, because everything after that, my grades, everything started going downhill. It was like I was not that happy running in the puddles in the rain type kid in the sunshine. Everything went a whole nother way for me. I need to close this window.
So while you're doing it, so what I'm hearing is that life completely changed at that age of 10 years old. And so for so many of us, so many children, so many adults, there is a point in which there is that moment that our lives changes forever. And what I'm hearing is that was kind of a catalyst that was started, what caused you to want to start your organization, Sisters Building Sisters.
Yes.
And that is and what I always tell people, from pain comes a lot of our business ideas, comes life, right? And I see business or entrepreneurship as life. So can you talked about this was a time where you felt like you lost your voice. And I know a lot of the work that you do, especially with your coaching, is about taking your power back. Can you talk about practical terms or practical ways that you have coached individuals to take their power back in scenarios like that?
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that. But I have to say this. So one day, while I was 10, I remember lifting up my eyes in my bedroom to the Lord, because I was brought up in a Christian home, and saying, God, if you ever let me grow up, I'm going to help hurting women and girls. I don't know why I didn't say boys or men, but and that's where it started. And I did not know that I became an advocate at 10 years old, because I wanted to protect my siblings. And that's where Sisters Building Sisters in Brooklyn came from. I didn't know it until years down the line, but that's where it came from. And so you asked, how do you help people take their power back in instances where they feel like it's been stripped away from them? In so many ways, because Sisters Building Sisters, the foundation was to help women find their self-esteem, and girls find their self-esteem and their self-love and their self-efficacy and their self-worth. That's how it started. So it starts with the conversation. With me, it organically starts with the conversation. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Or if I see you're in a dark place or something, hey, what are you experiencing right now? So one is to how you take back your power. Think about what you're experiencing. Think about it. Do some self-reflection. Do some self-awareness. Like, and sit in it. Whatever it is that you're feeling, sit in it for a while. And then if you can verbally express it, verbalize it. Even if you have to say it out loud to yourself in the mirror, just to get it up off of you and out of you, so you can look at it. They can look at it, deal with it, address it, or write it down. Write it down. Express what you're experiencing. If you feel angry, I feel angry right now. If you feel sad, if they're, I'm saying you, but I'm talking to your audience. If they were to feel sad, why am I feeling sad? What's making me feel sad? And try to go to the core of it, because there's a core of just like there's a core that makes us happy. We know when we're super happy and excited, because it's all a feeling. It's all feelings, and none of them are wrong or good or bad. They're just feelings. They're just emotions, and they fluctuate. They go up and down. Sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel sad. But I would say that's a start to taking your power back. Finding, just sitting with yourself and doing some self-awareness and being true to yourself. To thine own self be true. I heard that years ago growing up. But but it's so true. If you can't be true to yourself, who can you be true? Who can you share truth with?
Absolutely. As you were talking, the movie The Inside Out, like you were just talking about, going through the levels of emotions and the being upset and angry and frustrated. And I always think like that was such a well-crafted movie. I watch it often. There's always an opportunity to be able to share, especially with my little ones, like what emotion they're feeling. Because one of the things that I find is that our children, we start as children and we go up as adults not having the words to identify the emotions that we're feeling, and that's where it comes out in physical anger. That's where it comes out in verbalizing negativity or cursing and stuff like that. Because my husband always says, I don't have the words to articulate my pain. And it's like, yeah, we don't have the words on a regular basis to articulate the pain that we have. So it ends up coming out in these different ways. What have you, and I know you have a daughter, and I would love for you to be able to share, and I don't know if you have been able to utilize this with her or other children, but what are some ways that you've helped them to identify different levels of emotions when they're experiencing pain?
Well, like I just said, what's going on? Like in my household, growing up with, Naisha, my daughter, who's now an adult, right? An amazing adult. In my household, it was like it was just her and I, and it was about you can always talk to me, you can come to me about anything. You can let me know if you're having a good day or if you're having a bad day. And there's nothing that my household is a believing household of Christ Jesus. So everything was on, there's nothing that we can't get through. And if we hear God got a purpose and a plan for us, so come on, share it, because I always was, I should say I learned how to be her best friend, her enemy. Yeah, her enemy at times, disciplining, because, mommy's disciplining me. Mommy's tapping that behind at times when I need it. This was back in the days. It's a whole new day now. But when those things were needed, I let her know, I'm going to be your best friend. I'm going to be your enemy. I'm going to be that person other than God that you can come to outside of your father. You can go to your dad or you can come to me about anything, good, bad, or indifferent. And so when there was a time when she was 16 and she was experiencing some real deep stuff, and I was working and she would have to come home from school, and she would come and I would see her in the house. I'd be like, you want to go outside? She'd be like, no, I'm good. She's in the house listening to Smokey Norville and just saying, I'm just taking time to sit in my feelings and deal with what's coming up for me. The sadness that is on my plate. Her father, he's an amazing man, but he was incarcerated, being open and transparent when she turned 16. And it was something that she never could imagine, but she had to sit in her feelings and deal with her feelings and recognize like, wow, I'm really, really sad. So what I give other people, it applied to us first in the home.
Yeah, I love that you're sharing that, that you took your own lived experiences and were able to help others to grow past their pain. You mentioned faith, and I'm very spiritually grounded myself. How can, in your opinion, how can faith and even scripture words, right? Because they say our strength is in the power of our tongue. How have you been able to use faith to guide someone through a traumatic experience?
Well, how do I help people? Women, but also men too. How do I help people? Because I'm also a pastor. How do I help people? A community outreach pastor. How do I help people? First and foremost, spiritually, I ask them, what's their faith? And most of the people that come to me for help Some are spiritual and some are not spiritual, but mainly if they want my services, they know they will get scripture with it. It's just who I am. I'm just wired that way. Whether I say I'm coming from John 16, which I don't do that, but I just share the scripture. Like I'll let them know. So many say, "Oh wow, I love that what you say. The iron sharpens the iron." I'm with that. That's scripture. And it's real, and it does. Iron sharpens the iron. So how do I help people with scriptures? And it's twofold. It's helping them spiritually and practically, and how I incorporate scriptures, because the key scripture that works for me is, as a man thinks, so is he. So it all begins with the mind. It all begins with the thought. If your thought life is not right, or if it's in a dark place, then hello, we got to do some work to get it to get in the right place. To get in that place where you're in proper alignment, where you can function and you can flow and you can come from a low place to a high place. But it all begins with the thought. Because if most of the time, if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with any type of, I like to say, downer, even if you're on drugs and you down, right? How can you come up? It begins with the mind. You have to take a moment to think. It begins with the mindset. So if you shift and I like to say, I know it says as a man thinks, but I like to say as a woman thinks, so is she. As Rosalyn thinks, so am I. So if my thoughts get twisted, because they can get a little distorted. Why? Because we were fed so many years. Yes, I know everybody says, oh, I came from this perfect world where no one said anything bad to me and everything was, gravy. Well, it's not like that for many people, right? And for most people, if they tell the truth and shame the flesh, right? So with that, it's like, okay, the negative thoughts, every lie that was told to you, every lie that was told to us, we can counteract that. We can shift it. We can break it. And how we can break it? By thinking new thoughts and then verbalizing those new thoughts. When because I came from a place, I had suicide idealities, excuse me, right? I had that, when my grandfather passed, and that stayed with me until I was 20 years old. So what counteracted that? When those thoughts came and said, take those pills, or go jump in front of the 3 jump off, from in front of the 3 train when it's getting ready to come, all of those different things, get a knife and stab yourself in the night. Nobody won't know. All of these low, dark things, dark thoughts, when they would come, how did I counteract that? I use scripture. I use scripture. God has a great plan for my life. God says I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, right? And as far as doing the work, or whether it's as an entrepreneur on a job, to get up out of the bed, I commit my works to the Lord. So there's scriptures that I tie into making it work.
That was powerful. And I thank you for sharing, because the word is very powerful, and being able to, like you said, put words in spaces to protect our mind from our own thoughts is needed, necessary. And just thinking about that, something that came to mind was about forgiveness, because forgiveness is another space where it drags us into control, or having someone to have control over us. So what are your thoughts about forgiveness, and how does that play how does that hold a space in taking back your power?
Wow, that's a very good one. Forgiveness is key. Forgiveness is key. One, God forgives us, right? He forgives us for everything we can possibly phantom, right? And fathom. And then from that, we can forgive ourselves. Sometimes we don't know how to forgive ourselves, but we can be gentle and we can reflect on how God put forgiveness there. You know, he has it all throughout the words, throughout the Bible. Forgive how many times? 70 times 7. That doesn't literally mean just that amount of times, those amount of times. That means, hey, as often as you need to forgive somebody or yourself, you know, forgive yourself and forgive other people. And I like to tell, you know, my population of women and girls, be gentle with yourself and treat yourself as if you were, you know, that best friend that you have, how you would talk to her and how you would say, girl, you need to go on and forgive yourself. Be gentle with yourself and say, I forgive you. I forgive you. You messed up, Rosalyn. You messed up. But I still love you. And still love yourself and move on. And then forgiving others, I like to say, forgiving others. Sometimes we not sometimes, we hear over and over, well, I'm not going to forgive him or I'm not going to forgive her because they did me so wrong or whatever. But you're holding on to that. That person has moved on. They're living free like a jaybird, they used to say back in the days. You could tell I come from a whole nother era, right? But they're free. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about me. But so what we need to do is forgive them, because the forgiveness is for us to get free. When we forgive them, we're free. We're light. We're lifted. I like to say, my pastor used to say, when you release, you increase. You know, he was talking about that on so many other levels. But to me, that applies with forgiveness too. When you release, you increase.
I like that. Come on now. When you release, you increase. So you brought up that best friend. And I am, you know, especially in our communities, right, of color, all of our best friends become, especially to our kids, auntie and uncle and all of that. They become our community. So how have you used community and sisterhood to help support people emotionally?
Wow. Okay. So like, that's so good. I have so many, people from, there's a family. I have used Sisters Building Sisters to help other people, right? Other women and girls. And in fact, who's near and dear to me right now and how it comes into family is two of our mentees. One is 20 now, and the oldest one is 20, and the youngest one is 16. The oldest one came to us to our self-love workshop, our first self-love workshop in the community, and she was 9 years old. And our mentorship program is from 9 on up to 19. That's what it was at the time, 9 to 19. And so the little one couldn't get in because she was 5 years old. But the mother asked if she could sit in. She was like, can we just stay? Can we just stay? Sure. It was girls from the ages of 9 on up to, believe it or not, there was women in their 70s in that self-love workshop. It was just a community of women and girls. And I remember the workshop was over and we had another event a few days later, and the mother came and she said, I know you all don't do it. I know you don't do it, but could you please let my baby girl, I know she's only 5 years old and your organization starts with the girls from 9 on up. Can you please make an exception and let my baby girl come there too? So we had a meeting and we said, yes, today, that 5-year-old is 16 and you'll see her at the front of our banner, our march walking. You'll see her on the mic sharing her poems about domestic violence. And I'm saying that, but if you listen to her, you will hear she's like Auntie Roz. Her older sister is at City Tech, and I go to City Tech, and she's coming down the hall, and she's like, Auntie Rosalyn, wait a minute, that's my auntie. Let me go see my auntie. Let me give my auntie a hug. So you talk about community and helping women and girls heal and family. It's just amazing. The mother and the father joined the organization, and they with us at the front line in the background. They with us preparing food, flipping tables, whatever. So and they come to my home. I'm like, oh, but y'all aunties. They're like, no, you're auntie.
Train them up. That's what they say, right? Train them up. I love that. Bringing in the young people. I mean, I agree. Definitely having conversations now about starting businesses and when is the best time to introduce that to our children. And people are like, oh, in middle school. I'm like, no, I think second, third grade is like the best time, because once we get it instilled in them, it will be something that they will forever strive to continue to emulate and to grow as they are getting older. And so since we talk a lot about entrepreneurship in this space, I wanted to bring that to the table as well. Because it is a form, entrepreneurship is creativity, right? It is a means of being able to share what our innate purpose is to others, and to be able to either make a profit or to form some form of a business to help others. So how have you tied that into healing for yourself?
Okay. So also I want to say about the entrepreneur, because they shadow and they watch and they participate. So that young girl that was 5 years old, she will be in the skit with me, and she will be getting paid. So to those that come to see the skit, the domestic violence skit with Sisters with Purpose, you will see her, the youngest mentee sisters building sisters in Brooklyn. And as far as the entrepreneur part, okay, so I'm an author, as you know, because we're co-authors. Even doing exercises, creating content around the book, right? And it's my content, it's the work that I do that help women heal. So they come to my workshops, they join my groups, they experience it, and they pay a fee. Because if you really want something, at certain points you will pay for it if it requires a payment. So that's a area of entrepreneurship for me. And then there's the domestic violence skits. That's a branch that's being cultivated right now. And then there is Rosalyn's Blooming Boutique, right? And what that is I thought about it. I was like, I looked at my journey, and I remember the places of brokenness and what it took, what was all a part of my healing journey. So a part of my healing journey was accessories, was fabulous earrings and cute earrings and, fabulous necklaces and rings or whatever. And, I felt good. No, the earrings didn't make me beautiful, because I am beautiful, right? God made me beautiful.
That's right.
I said, my grandmother taught me how to accessorize. And I was like, oh, these things make me feel good. It makes me feel good when I spray my little perfume on and things of that nature. So I said, I'm going to never picked up yarn before, but I was like, I'm going to make some earrings. And I'm going to see how I can create some earrings and tie them into the work that I do and sell them. So that's what That's where Rosalyn's Blooming Boutique came from. And I vend, and the young lady Madison, I often take her with me when she has a free schedule, and she want to make some extra money. Okay, no, you're not gonna go there and say I'm the mentee from Sisters Building Sisters. No, Madison, you're gonna learn the ins and outs, how to work the books, how to make sure that the Zelle go through, or the WhatsApp, or the Cash App, or whatever. You're gonna know how to exchange the cash or whatever. So yeah, entrepreneurship, and also teaching them how to be leaders and how to be entrepreneurs and do things on their own. I create other things that's going to come out soon. Okay, you coming over my house, let's learn how to do this. They used to say, teach a person, give a person a fish, and you can feed them. You'll feed them for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, now I don't know how to fish, but I know how to use creative things, and I don't mind sharing, especially with the women and girls that God has placed in my, in my environment, in my circle. So
come on now. Entrepreneurship spirit. I heard plays, I heard author, I heard workshops, I heard trainings, I heard jewelry. And as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, it accentuates. Like, I love putting earrings on or something that makes a bold statement, and getting people to start conversation because of it. Like, I like conversation starters. Because I feel like a lot of times people are looking to say something and they don't know that end. They don't know what that end could be. And so they might say something weird like, oh, you got a piece of lint on your jacket. And I'm like, really? Why, were you looking at my jacket so hard that you saw the piece of lint that was on the jacket? So let me give you something a little bit more, conversational.
Yeah.
This conversation other than that. So I agree. Jewelry, smells, like all of those help to accentuate who we are, who God gave us as our talents. And I'm glad that you're doing that. I really love that whole idea. And the fact that you're bringing the young people into it, like, this is, we need to continue to train them up. Like I said, that is absolutely the start of all of this. Want to switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
As we are starting to close out, like, the time just goes by so fast. And it's like, oh my gosh, the hours already happened. But you shared so many really great things. And for those who watch this afterwards, I would love for you to be able to share something that would, what advice would you give to someone who feels called to help others to feel similar to what you've been doing?
What would I say? First, I would say, if you're spiritual, pray and talk to God and see what He says. If you serve the God that I serve, or you can speak to the God of your understanding. But that's the first thing for me to pray and get still and hear from God. And then the second thing, what type of, can you say it one more time?
Yeah, sure. What would you give as advice to someone else who feels called to help others? So someone who is like, I've experienced a lot of bad and God has gotten me through it. What would you tell them, or what kind of advice would you give them to start their journey? Like, what could they give back? How could they give back? How could they be a light in the community?
I would say look for, because that's another way that it started for me. I would say look for your local community boards, look for nonprofits or for-profits where you can volunteer your services to give back. And then because that also gives you an idea, because you'll start connecting to what you're supposed to be doing. You'll start saying, oh, well, I really enjoyed that. Well, I didn't really enjoy that, so I'm going to leave that alone. Or and you'll even feel like, oh, those Mava people, it's just not for me. Oh, but these people, I work so well over here with these people. It just seemed like I fit. You found your niche. You found your community. So, and then in that, you're able to let your guard down, and you're able to, you'll find yourself, I don't care if it's sweeping the floor, you'll get ideas and thoughts about things that you're supposed to be doing. So I would say get involved wherever you're at, whether it's in the city, in the country, wherever, it doesn't matter. Get involved with the community, and be watchful and be mindful of what you connect to, what you gravitate to the most. And then I'll say focus on that.
Thank you for sharing that. And I have a couple more questions, because this was a conversation about domestic violence. And what I would love to be able to leave for others is how, as a community, how can we help people? So if someone came to us that in a space of needing help, how would you encourage community members to be able to jump in? Like, what are some things that we could do as community members to help someone who has experienced domestic violence or trauma?
Now, this may seem like it's coming out of left field, but it's real and it's true. The best thing that we could do for a survivor or a victim of abuse when they're in a very crucial stage is to simply be there for them, to let them know, I'm here for you, and I'm listening to you. I'm here to be a listening ear. I'm here to support you. What does that support look like? And honor their story. Whatever they're sharing with you, it's not the time to say, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to leave them, or whatever the case may be. Back off from that. That is adding trauma to them. And I know we want to be the community and come in and save them and rescue them, but the best thing we could do for them is to say, when you're ready, I'm here for you. And they will let you know when they're ready. They will let you know that they're not ready if they're not ready. And if they say, I'm not ready yet, be okay with that. If you see them going back to him or her or whatever, it's okay. Because sometimes, believe it or not, it actually takes a person experiencing physical, intimate partner violence to leave that person. They may leave that person, believe it or not. It's like recorded somewhere. It may take them 7 times before they say, okay, that's it. I've had enough. But you just let them know that you're there for them. And if you're going to be there for them, be there for them the 7 times until they're ready. Be there for them. If everything you could do is, I'm here for you. If you need somewhere to put a little bag with your clothes or, your identification or something, I got you. And just leave it. And that's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Those are all very helpful. Just even knowing that it's like, because people are like, I told them like 5 times and they still keep going back and still doing the same thing. And like you said, okay, maybe 7 to 10 times. So it's like, okay, tell them 5 more until they get it. And it's like as a learning pattern, we have to get in the understanding too that how many times did you have to tell your child growing up, like, not to do something, make up your bed, clean the room, pick up the garbage, like all of those things? It was more than just once. So why would you think that this something that's been a learned behaviors or a pattern that they've experienced and layers of it, that one time is going to be enough for them to take that and run with it? So I thank you very much for sharing your experiences and your thoughts on how to help people through it. And very last question before we close out is, This is the hardest question that I give everybody, like the excruciating, painful question. What does Juneteenth mean to you?
Okay, what does Juneteenth mean to me? Juneteenth means to me love, Black power, peace, purpose, creativity, and most of all, freedom.
Come on.
That's what it means.
I love that. Well, thank you for closing that out with that patience. I feel like patience, love. Like it was going to be a whole dancing song. I love that, and especially the freedom part. So thank you so much, Rosalyn. It was a pleasure having you joining us on today and being able to share a little bit of your story of why you got started with your business, how you are helping those in the community, who you're helping in the community, and what that continues to look like. We will drop. Do you have any information for people to get in contact with you that you would like to share?
People can find me at Rosalyn Mcintosh on Facebook and DM me if they like, or they could find me on Instagram, Rosalyn Mcintosh, or Sisters Building Sisters at either place, Sisters Building Sisters on Facebook or Instagram. Or you can follow, they can also follow me on Rosalyn's Blooming Stage. I'm also modeling, which ties into going from broken places to blooming.
I love that. Thank you so much. This is so amazing, so dope. We love you. Thank you so much, Rosalyn, for sharing your story once again. I'm going to put you back behind stage while I close this out, and then I'll be with you shortly. So another great session, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed that. This was a wonderful, powerful, restorative conversation today with Rosalyn Mcintosh of Sisters Building Sisters. As we reflect on her words, as we remember that healing begins with awareness, recognizing both the verbal and nonverbal signs of what to experience and how we show up in the world. It takes us taking the first step. We were reminded today that verbal abuse isn't always loud. It can sometimes be quiet. It can live in a tone. It can live in criticism. It can live in control. But at the end of the day, it's about power. Like it all comes down to power, y'all. Money, power, respect, right? And because of that, we talked about how to reclaim your power through understanding, self-reflection, truth-telling, and by just listening to each other, which God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we use more of the mouth than we do the ears. So just being able to be in a space where we are listening more and letting people just share their story. Rosalyn encouraged us to take a moment to sit with our emotions, which is very powerful, to name them, which is something that we don't do often because we don't have the words to do, and to release them, to let them go, write them down. Some people burn them. Some people throw them in the garbage, crumble them up, whatever it is that you need to do to release them. Let them go from your spirit. It's not something that you need to hold on to. When we do that, we're able to be free. And that is a powerful enactment within itself. So I hope that she reminded you that God's grace covers it all, because I totally believe in that as well. He forgives us, and we must also forgive ourselves, which is something else that was very powerful that she shared, because we don't do enough of that. And that's where a lot of us holding on to our past also comes into place. So as she says so beautifully, when you release, you increase. So let's carry that truth with us to let go of the pain that we're holding, embrace grace, and make room for peace, purpose, and power. I love you all. Thank you for another great Thursday. We'll see you next week. And happy weekend. Athenia Rodney, Juneteenth NYC. Be blessed.
From the roots of tradition to the rise of reconnection, where history meets the heart of Africa. Celebrate freedom, culture, and homecoming. This isn't just a trip, it's a return. The motherland is calling. Will you answer?